This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The recent state visit paid by the President of the Republic to the Russian Federation at the invitation of his Russian counterpart was aimed at further strengthening the already good friendship relations linking the two countries and leaders. Algeria has strongly condemned the worst terrorist attack that targeted a high school dormitory, killing dozens of pupils and injuring many others in western Uganda. The CEO of Sonatrach has announced the exploitation in 2028 of 2 hydrocarbon deposits in partnership with Russian Gazprom. And Palestinian Fatah Central Committee has warned against the Israeli government plan designed to legitimize the division of the Al-Aqsa Mosque Esplanade and denounced the move as an attempt to the Palestinian sovereignty. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. Good afternoon. First, the recent state visit paid by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, to the Russian Federation at the invitation of his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, was aimed at further strengthening the already good relations of friendship linking the two countries and leaders. This historic and important visit, which testifies to the solidity of the relations uniting the two countries, was marked by intense activities undertaken by the President of the Republic. During his visit, a solemn and official welcome was reserved for the President of the Republic by his Russian counterpart at the Kremlin Palace before the two heads of state started talks, which were later extended to the members of the two delegations. In a joint statement issued at the end of the talks, the President of the Republic thanked his Russian counterpart for the confidence placed in him and in Algeria for the mediation between the Russian Federation and Ukraine.
شاكر لفخامة الرئيس صدره الرحب وسعة الصدر على قبوله إمكانية توسط بين دولة صديقة روسيا الفيدرالية وأوكرانيا فيما يخص النزاع القائم حاليا. شاكر له هذه الثقة وستكون في محلها إن شاء الله.
For his part, President Putin thanked Algeria and President Tebboune for their willingness to mediate in the conflict between his country and Ukraine, recalling that Algeria is a member of the Arab League Contact Group on Ukraine.
Knowing that Algeria is a member of the contact group of the Arab League on Ukraine, I explained to the Algerian president Russia's vision and the root cause of this conflict, as well as our evaluation. Before starting this meeting, I explained to my counterpart all the circumstances and thanked Algeria and the Algerian president for his willingness to offer mediation.
The two presidents also signed the Declaration of Deep Strategic Partnership between Algeria and the Russian Federation and co-chaired the signing ceremony of several agreements, memoranda of understanding and action programs between the Algerian and Russian governments. During the Economic Forum of St. Petersburg, the President of the Republic indicated that Algeria is witnessing an important phase in its inclusive development path through its national strategy, as it has become a promising investment destination thanks to the pivotal reforms undertaken by the government and the many incentives which created a stimulating environment for economic operators in a country determined to implement a promising investment plan in the coming years, especially in the fields of energy, infrastructure, agriculture, pharmaceutical products and various industries including food industries and transformation industries. Let's listen to the President of the Republic.
تشهد الجزائر مرحلة مهمة في مسيرتها التنموية الشاملة من خلال استراتيجياتها الوطنية، حيث أصبحت حاليا وجهة للاستثمار واعد بفضل الإصلاحات المحورية التي جسدتها الحكومة والتحفيزات العديدة التي كرست مناخا محفزا للمتعاملين اقتصاديا في بلد عازم على تنفيذ خطة استثمارية طموحة في السنوات المقبلة، لا سيما في مجالات الطاقة والبنية التحتية والفلاحة والمنتجات الصيدلانية والصناعات المختلفة، بما فيها الصناعات الغذائية والتحويلية.
President Tebboune also affirmed on the occasion that the door is open for the economic operators who can rely on the Algerian government support for investors. President Tebboune therefore invited public companies and private sector in Russia and in the world to explore business environment in Algeria and benefit from the incentives that will allow them to carry out their projects in several sectors and on the basis of a win-win principle.
أؤكد أن المجال مفتوح أمام المتعاملين الاقتصاديين الذين يمكنهم الاعتماد على دعم الحكومة الجزائرية للمستثمر، وعليه فإنني أدعو الشركات العمومية والقطاع الخاص في روسيا والعالم إلى استكشاف بيئة الأعمال في الجزائر والاستفادة من المحفزات التي تتيح لهم إنجاز مشاريعهم في مختلف القطاعات ووفق رابح.
It's worth recalling that the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, paid a 3-day state visit to the Russian Federation at the invitation of his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. The Speaker of the Council of the Nation, Salah Goujil, has sent a message to the President of the Republic congratulating him for the successful state visit he paid to the Russian Federation. Jamal Silmani has more.
Mr. Goujil hailed the results of the President's visit to Russia and the results, saying that they translated the strength and depth of the privileged relations existing between Algeria and Russia. He also hailed the President's approaches highlighted during the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg and his call for a participatory vision and solidarity in order to take up to the challenges facing the world by taking into account the interests of all the countries, especially the poor ones. For Mr. Goujil, these approaches depict the wisdom of Algeria's foreign policy, which rejects hegemony, polarization and self-interest and advocates balance and justice. Mr. Goujil emphasized that these approaches are used to affirm that Algeria is a sovereign state that takes freely its political decisions while remaining at an equidistance from conflicts, making of it a privileged country to lead settlement initiatives to resolve conflicts. The President of the Upper House of Parliament held the broad credibility and confidence that Algeria enjoys under the leadership of the President of the Republic on the international plan. She has succeeded in moving forward on the basis of well-defined steps enabling the country to occupy a place of choice on the world's geopolitical scene.
And for his part, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, hailed the results of the historic visit to the Russian Federation by the President of the Republic. Our colleague Mariam Zian has more.
He congratulated on behalf of the deputies of the National People's Assembly the President for achievements and even victories made at the regional and international levels. He hailed the importance of the visit as well as the official and popular support as an evidence of the cohesion of the nation with its leadership and the rightness of its choices. Mr. Boughali also pointed out that the worldwide interest in the visit and the messages it has conveyed confirm the rightness of the vision of the Algerian policy and her active diplomacy. He added that Algeria, which suffered injustice and colonial hegemony, has paved the way for freedom for the oppressed peoples. He said that Algeria was aware of her role in spreading brotherliness and peace among the peoples, just as it was aware of the reasons for which she rejects interference in the country's internal affairs.
Algeria has strongly condemned the terrorist attack that targeted a high school dormitory, killing dozens of pupils, including high school pupils, and injuring many others in Lubiriha in Mpondier city in Uganda. Algeria has extended her condolences and expressed solidarity with the Ugandan government and friendly people. Similarly, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the worst attack since years. The CEO of Sonatrach, Toufiq Hakkar, has announced that in 2028, 2 hydrocarbon deposits will be exploited in southeast Hassi Mas'oud in Regla in partnership with the Russian firm Gazprom. The CEO of Sonatrach told Russia Today that the Algerian company was working with Gazprom to develop the 2 deposits discovered 140 kilometers southeast of Hassi Mas'oud through the establishment of calls for tenders for the drilling and construction of natural gas processing plants. The Russian-Algerian partnership that amounts to $1 billion aims to boost cooperation and the production of national hydrocarbons, given the strong demand for natural gas in the international market these days. The president of Sonatrach also said that these partnerships are important for Algeria, which is seeking to develop and diversify all partnerships. The official also said Sonatrach has very good relations with Russian companies and that Gazprom is a reliable partner. To the international scene now, where the Palestinian Fatah Central Committee has warned against the Israeli government plan designed to legitimize the division of the Al-Aqsa Mosque Esplanade and denounced the move as an attempt to the Palestinian sovereignty. Mariam Zian has more.
It stressed that the Israeli government was playing with fire in seeking to carry through its schemes and warned against the repercussions of such a behavior on the region and on the world as a whole. This came as scores of Jewish settlers today stormed the Al-Aqsa Esplanade amid reinforced security imposed by the Israeli army on occupied Jerusalem. The incursions made by the Jewish settlers into the religious site allegedly to carry out religious rituals are denounced as a provocation by the Palestinians. Meanwhile, 5 Palestinians were arrested during operations carried out today by the Israeli soldiers in various parts of the West Bank. The news agency Wafa said the operations targeted the towns of Jenin, Nablus, and Hebron. Meanwhile, incidents broke out when the Israeli occupying forces stormed the town of Tulkarem. The Israeli soldiers used live bullets and tear gas to disperse the Palestinians protesting at the assault.
Participants to the 4th edition of the Diplomatic Forum of Solidarity with the Sahrawi People held here in Algiers made an urgent appeal to the Secretary General Special Envoy for Western Sahara, Staffan de Mistura, to relaunch the peace process in favor of the inalienable right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination, affirming their determination to continue efforts to mobilize support for the Sahrawi cause. Jamal Salmani has more.
The participants to the diplomatic forum also examined the latest developments in Western Sahara and exchanged views on future measures to be taken to further support the Sahrawi cause. In their final declaration, the participants condemned the systematic human rights violations committed against defenseless Sahrawi civilians in the occupied territories. The declaration was detailed by the Chargé d'Affaires at the South African Embassy in Algeria, Selo Patrick Rankhumis, during the closing session attended by our reporter Wahiba Meri.
The participants in the forum firmly condemn the systematic violation of human rights against defenseless Sahrawi civilians in the occupied territories and call on the international community to act with speed on the release of all Sahrawi civilian prisoners held in jails in Moroccan jails, while emphasizing the responsibility of the United Nations to protect the Sahrawi civilians and the need to lift the blockade and impose and a siege by Morocco, as well as the immediate cessation of systematic and unrestrained plundering of natural resources of Western Sahara. The participants in the forum further demand that light be shed on the fate of 651 missing persons and the dismantling of the wall which divides the Sahrawi Republic and its people into 2 parts, inside which are scattered millions of anti-personnel landmines, anti-tank mines, and cluster bombs that kill and mutilate hundreds of Sahrawis every year, who have lost vast areas of pasture, a source of vegetable and food for their livestock.
The participants also urged the African Union to fulfill its responsibilities as a partner of the United Nations in the efforts to reach a definitive solution to Africa's last colony and to establish a lasting and just peace. The participants also held the cancellation by the European Court of Justice of the EU-Morocco trade agreements.
The participants in the forum welcomed the cancellation on 6 June 2023 by the Court of European Union of trade agreements extended on Western Sahara, which constitute a great triumph and a great success for the Sahrawi people, both on the political and legal level, and at the same time confirms the judgments of the European Court of Justice in December 2016 and February 2018, which declare without ambiguity that the EU-Morocco Association Agreement does not apply to Western Sahara because the Sahrawi territory has a separate and distinct status from the Kingdom of Morocco. Following this resounding victory for justice and for Sahrawi people, the participants strongly hope that the member states of the EU will respect the decisions of their tribunal and will definitely exclude Western Sahara from the scope of the European Union relations with Morocco.
The forum also invited all organizations of solidarity with the Sahrawi people throughout the world to innovate in the field of information using new technologies to make the voice of the Sahrawi people heard. The participants to the forum expressed their gratitude to Algeria for her unwavering position in favor of the Sahrawi question and just causes, and at the same time thanked all the continued support for the Sahrawi people. Lastly, the participants hailed Algeria's role in supporting just causes.
The participants in the forum expressed their thanks and gratitude to Algeria for its role and its unchanging position in favor of the Sahrawi cause in just causes throughout the world, and in this in perfect harmony with the principles and ideals of the Algerian Revolution of November the 1st, which over the time has become an example of dedication and sacrifice in promotion of the values of freedom and dignity. The participants in the forum expressed their sincere thanks to all the countries recognizing the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic for the consistency of their unwavering support to the Sahrawi people and their just fight for freedom and independence.
They also congratulated Algeria following her election as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, expressing their conviction that it will continue to serve just causes throughout the world.
In Mali, 8.4 million Malians today went to the polls as part of a referendum on a new constitution. The draft constitution was presented last month to the Malians by interim President Assimi Goïta, who stressed that it includes innovations that will pave the way for good governance in Mali. In Sudan, a new 72-hour ceasefire came into effect in an attempt to end the 2-month conflict between the military and the rapid paramilitary forces on the eve of an international conference in Geneva on aid to Sudan. The two warring parties agreed to cease all attacks to allow the funneling of humanitarian aid into the East African country. And finally, back to Algeria, where the 24 International Crafts Fair has kicked off here in Algiers with the participation of 290 craftsmen coming from various provinces and 57 others representing 15 countries. During the opening ceremony of the 8-day event, the Minister of Tourism, Mokhtar Didouche, has stressed the importance of the exhibition, pointing out that the craft industry includes a range of activities which provide more than 1.2 million jobs. The minister also highlighted the need to label national traditional products to protect them from counterfeiting, saying that the exhibition is an opportunity to promote local products and exchange experiences. And with this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for our weekday program, the International Event of the Week, compiled and presented by my colleague Jamal Simani. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin in English. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
The International Event of the Week.
5 African leaders undertook a peace mission this week to Ukraine and Russia to try and bring an end to the 1-year-long conflict. The African